मुरारी निर्मलवासितशोभितलिङ्गं निर्मलवासितशोभितलिङ्गं निर्मलवासितशोभितलिङ्गम् उमापति महादेव की जय. We continue to focus our minds upon the divine in the form of Bhagwan Krishna. Akshutam Keshavam Ramanarayanam Krishna Damodaram Vasudevam Sridharam Madhavam Gopika Vallabham Janaki Nayakam Ramachandram Bhaje. Achyutam Keshavam Satyabhamamadhavam Madhavam Sridharam Radhika Radhikam Indriya Mandiram Chetrasa Sundaram Devaki Nandanam Nandagam Sandere. Achyutam Keshavam Ramanarayanam Krishna Damodaram Vasudevam 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 Krishna Chandra Bhagavan ki jai. Today, our subject is one that is very common in day-to-day life. But it came to mind because of an event yesterday. I was invited to be a guest speaker at a function in Milton, where a group of Hindus have gathered together to celebrate the birth anniversary of Swami Vivekananda. This Revered Swami is credited with many wonderful things. Amongst that, he is credited with introducing Hinduism and Vedanta to America and to the rest of the Western world. The story of Swami Vivekananda is a very interesting one, and I encourage everyone, if you have some time, to read about him. There's lots written about him. But Swami Vivekananda was an ordinary man who had certain questions in his mind. First of all, he did not believe in Murti worship. He questioned the relationship between religion and God. And he would go to those who say that they are divine people and ask them, have you ever seen God? And they will all say, no. And then the next will be, well, if you have not seen God, how do you know that you're divine? Of course, he pursued this question in many ways. But like all of us, we have doubts also. We ask a similar question. Some of us doubt the question of Murti worship, and we even say, well, where is this God if he's here? Swami Vivekananda pursued this desire for knowledge. But more than the desire for knowledge, it was his personal quest to connect with God. Many of us have a desire for knowledge. But in that desire for knowledge, we are really trying to extinguish our doubts. Is there a God? And we try to read more books to find out if there's a God. But he wasn't doing this to just find out if there's a God. There was no question that there was a God. He believed there is a God. His reason how do I connect to this God? He doubted whether connecting to God was possible through Murti worship. And he doubted whether that if you and he declared that if you can't see God, how can you connect with him? So that's a contradiction. He says he doesn't believe in worship in a Murti, but he also says if you can't see him, how do you know him? But through his years of evolution, he came to the feet of Ramakrishnaji, who was a great revered saint, who showed him the pathway of how to eliminate the doubts and to focus upon faith in God. And that alone will make him connect to God. Not knowledge, but Shraddha, faith. And he explained to Vivekananda, Ramakrishna ji did, that the greatest way to connect to God is through service to humanity. He said, if you really want to serve God, or want to connect God, then serve His perfections. And in service to His perfections, you shall connect to God. And thus, Swami Vivekananda was one of the people who believed in service first, then the self. So our subject today is this thing called doubt. All of us have it. Well, is it doubt that I don't understand, or doubt that I don't believe? Which one is it? What's the difference between doubting because I don't understand and doubting because I don't believe? Anybody?
You can't comprehend.
Speak into the microphone.
You can't comprehend because you don't, so you don't understand, but you choose not to comprehend if you don't believe.
Okay, I want to hear you.
If you don't understand, that means you can't comprehend that. And if you do not believe, that means you choose not to comprehend that.
So you don't understand because?
You cannot comprehend that.
Because I don't have enough knowledge to understand. Mm-hmm. Next.
And you choose not to understand is when you do not believe, that means you choose not to understand.
But because I don't believe, I choose not to understand. Is that making sense to everybody? Let me repeat it. And thank you. Give him a big hand, please. I don't accept because I do not have the knowledge to understand what is presented to me. He did not accept the Murti worship because he did not have the knowledge to understand the value. And then when it is very obvious what it is, I choose not to accept it. That is the other side. So doubt has two aspects to it. The question in our lives, do we doubt God or the presence of God? Don't put your hands up now, please. The reality is we all do from time to time. When we are in trouble and we say, God, where are you? We doubt His presence. The minute we are questioning where He is, we are doubting that He is. Like you said, you can never find a policeman when you need one. But they are there. The doubt that you and I have in our lives is that when we feel that God should be there serving us, He's not there, and He says, maybe this is not a good God, or God doesn't love me, and so on and so on and so on, because in our minds, He's not doing what we think He should be doing. But on the other hand, He's doing what He thinks He should be doing. If He did everything we wanted Him to do, boy, what a world it would be. Like when we say, God, kill that person. God, kill him for me. God, hurt him for me. God, let me be the richest person. If God was only doing our biddings, He will be working 24 hours a day doing nothing, but only taking care of our desires. He's not in the program of fulfilling desires. He is in the concept of giving what is needed. Your desires are your problem. Your need is my problem. A mother and father's number one duty is to satisfy the needs of the children, to make sure they have water, food, clothing, shelter, love and affection and caring. They may have a desire to buy, when they're 5 years old, they want a BMW to drive. But the parent says, no, my responsibility is to give you water, food, clothing and shelter and a good education so you get rid of these not so good desires. Today I will read briefly from chapter 4 of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. verse 40 and 41, where Bhagavan Krishna is talking to Arjuna about this thing called doubt. And how do we eradicate the doubt? And remember, there are two types of it. The one when we choose not to accept, and the one when we lack the knowledge to understand. And I don't think I could have put it any better than Anil did. So let's give him a big hand, please. Of course, Anil is one of those young people that we hope one day will be conducting the pravachan from this asana. We are so proud of all of our young Pundits. They come and they spend some time with us and then they all move on. Dinesh Dhanraj is now conducting services at another mandir every Sunday morning. Vasant, who used to come here for learning, is continuing learning. He is also conducting service. Pandit Vijay, who is with this mandir for 10, 12 years, is now conducting service at another mandir, and so on and so on. Many have come to Ram Mandir. Pandit Haridat, who's been with us for 4 years, 5 years, is now conducting service in his own mandir. So we are very, very proud of all of these who have come and have learned and continue to practice. We hope that Anil will be one who will come and practice but will stay and will find home and roots here. And then we have all of the other young people who are here. Danesh is here, who's also walking the same path there. We have our young people, the young ladies, all of them, every one of them who have an opportunity to practice. And Vishal is here also. We're hoping that now he's becoming a family, he's going to become a father very soon. So all of them have different commitments. They have a desire to do something, but commitment drag them away from that desire. And then, of course, we have our young Pandit who is a resident Pandit, Neil. Where are you? Neil, please stand up so everybody can know who you are. Give him a big hand, please. Now, Neil is actually, stand up, Neil, please stand up. Neil is actually right now engaged in practicing Purukarma in the mandir. He's here 6 days a week. And if I encourage him, he'll be here 7 days a week. He loves it so much. Let's give him a big hand, please. And then I have two of my Sishyas, twins, are coming in right now. They recently took Guru Shiksha, and one day they may also be taking up this Purohit Karma. Let's give them a big hand, please. So we have many potential, but back to Swami Vivekananda and doubt. Shivaranjani. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Govindaya Namo. Shri Krishnaya Vasudevaya Govindaya Namo. Martaya Pratibhojitam Bhagavata
Narayana Swayam Vyasena Krititam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam
Advaitavarkshinim Bhagavati Ashtadashadyayani Ambatmamani Sandadami Bhagavati Gita Bhavadveshwani. Shri Krishnaya Vasudevaya Govindaya Namo. Namo Gira. Krishnaya
Vasudevaya Govindaya Namo Namah.
Bhagavanuvacha Agyascha Sraddhadhanascha Samshayatma Vinishyati Nayam Loko Astina Paro Nasukam Sanshayatmana. Shri Krishnaya Vasudevaya
Krishnaya Namo
Ajnana, the one without knowledge, the ignorant person. He says that ignorant person is the one who has doubt. And he says that doubt is destructive. So, because you don't know and you never take the time to know, you conclude that it is not so, and in so concluding, you are destroying yourself. Because you do not understand the power of God. You declare He does not exist, and in your declaration that God does not exist, you are on the pathway to self-destruction. I use the reference of God, but there's much more than that we do not know. We may not know about the basic concept of how to build good human relationships. And as such, we will declare it's not worthy. I cannot build a relationship. It's impossible. Or these people are impossible to work with. These people are impossible to deal with. And in making that conclusion, I am moving into a state of self-destruction because I will not be able to build relationship because I have concluded that they cannot have relationship. So in my ignorance, I am destroying myself. Bhagavan Krishna is telling Arjuna that that person who lives in such a manner is devoid of Shraddha. They have no faith. Because even if we do not see God, even if we have not seen the power of His work, we must have faith that God is. And if we have not seen good qualities in people, if we have not seen good ability to relate, we must have faith that God exists within them, and ultimately it will prevail. As I like to say many times, wisdom will dawn at the right time. Sometimes the time we want it to is not the time, but we have to have the patience for let it dawn ultimately. Sri Krishnaya Vasudevaya Govindaya Namo. The person who lives in doubt, the person who lives in denial and doubt, denial that the world is not good, people are not good to associate with, that I who I am is better for me to stay by myself, is living in a high state of denial. And doubt that things cannot be changed for the positive is another form of denial. Bhagavan Krishna is telling Arjuna that, oh Arjuna, the doubting self person will never be happy here nor hereafter. Because they are always living in a state of isolation and darkness. Because they doubt themselves and the ability of others to build a relationship. And we pray that they do not doubt the presence of God. Because if they have that doubt, then they are truly lost. Sri Krishnaya Vasudevaya Govindaya
Namo
I've told you the problem. But what's the point of telling your problem if I do not have a solution? Bhagavan Krishna not only declares the problem, but He declares the solution to the problem. In this shloka, He tells us how to overcome doubt. Yoga Sannyas Karmanam Jnana Sanchina Sansayam Atmavatam Na Karmani Nibandhanti Dhanam Jaya Sri Krishnaya Vasudevaya Govindaya Namo Namah. Doubt can be removed only through what is called yoga. And yoga, as I mentioned a few weeks prior, we all hear this term yoga, but yoga, there are many types of yoga, but all of the types includes 5 different aspects of everyday life. The number one aspect of everyday life, which is the essence of life itself, without it we cannot live, is pranayam. We cannot live without breathing. But there is a way to breathe, pranayam. The second is called asana, or the exercising of the physical aspect of the body through different postures and stretching of the body. And the third is diet, our intake of nutrients from our body. The fourth is meditation. And the fifth is relaxation. He says that person who practices these 5 disciplines and adhere to them regularly will dissolve their doubt. Because in pranayam we realize that the breath of life comes through the grace of God. In stretching and exercising, we bring the energies of our body to its fullest potential, and we feel alive, and we know it's through the grace of God and the oxygen we breathe. We eat the food and we are thankful that all things that we consume is through the grace of God, and He is the sustainer and He provides what sustains us. We meditate and we feel that richness of the mind when we can disconnect ourselves from all things and only be connected to the Supreme within the self. It is self that is the highest form of ecstasy, that is the highest form of joy, the highest form of bliss. And then he says, when we can live life under all of its trials and tribulations and still be without stress, he says that is relaxation. Now, is there anyone who can claim that they have all 5 under control? That is our challenge. He explains that the man or the woman or the person who follows a principled and disciplined way of life will ultimately have no doubt about God and our relationships with other human beings. O Dhananjaya, O Arjuna, action does not bind him who is poised in the self. He says, when we are focused on the self, what we do is not what makes us, it's what we think that's what makes us. You know, I could be giving you a gift, but in my mind, I have total dislike for you. So what I'm doing has nothing about who I am. It is my thought process that makes me who I am. What I feel in my mind. Mansa, karma, vacha. But the ideal state must be in my mind, and my words and my actions all must have one objective. To do that which is right, that which is good. Sri Krishnaya Vasudevaya
Govindaya Namo Namo.
In addressing the question of doubt, we all have doubts. Remember, it doesn't mean we must not question things. A man comes to sell you an insurance policy that says, by the way, you give me $1 a day and you will get $10 million. You should question that. A person comes to you and says, by the way, I know the mantras that if you pay me $5,000, I'll give you the winning lottery ticket number for the next lottery. You should think. You should question. But what we should not question is good actions and good karma. We must not question the power of the sun. We must not question the interest of the rain. We must not question the planets that exist through their grace. We must not question the trees and the fruits that they bear. We must question ourselves and ask ourselves, what am I doing to make sure the trees grow and the fruits bear? What am I doing to ensure that the world perpetuates as it is? Or am I only taking? One writer says that the greatest parasite that God has created is you and I. You know what's the parasite? Something that only takes and doesn't give anything. The trees take from the earth, but it gives fruits and leaves and shade. We take from everything that God has created, and whatever we give, not good for anything. We only give what is good for ourselves. But if we give to each other, that is our opportunity to do something good in giving to each other. Sri Krishnaya Vasudevaya
Govindaya Namo Namo.
So, Discard the doubt about God. Discard the doubt or lack of belief in humanity. Never lose faith in mankind. Never lose faith in the children. Never lose faith in that friend who is not such a friend. Never lose faith in that person who declares himself to be an enemy. Never lose faith that the sun will shine. Never doubt that ultimately wisdom will prevail. Sri Krishnaya Vasudevaya Govindaya Namo. I would like to conclude today with a very, very old bhajan. It's older than I am, and that's very old. Let me see how many of you know it. I can't even remember it. Take one. सुर की गटी में क्या जानूं, एक भजन करना जानूं। सुर की गटी में क्या जानूं, एक भजन करना जानूं। मरम वचन का अति गहरा, उसको भी मैं क्या जानूं। मरम वचन का अति गहरा, उसको भी मैं प्रभु 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 करना जानूं। प्रभु 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 करना जानूं। नयन जल भरना जानूं। सुर की गति में क्या जानूं, एक वचन करना जानूं। कविता कहते हैं, the poet is saying, I don't know anything about music, and that is the truth, I don't. I can only recite some prayers I know. I don't even know the gist of the essence of the scriptures of the Lord, because it seems so complicated sometimes. But I can recite the name of the Lord, and when I do that, I feel joy within, and tears come to my eyes. Here the poet is telling us that the world is very simple. It is not complicated. We make it complicated by our lack of understanding. Anything is complicated when you don't understand, right? But once you understand, suddenly it's not complicated. How many of us can remember when we were being taught the value of 1 and 1, how it equals 2, how complicated it was? You can't even remember. It's so far back. But you tried teaching a little child about 2 or 3 years that and see how it doesn't make sense. But once they knew, wow, it's that easy. You know, there's a story about Christopher Columbus. Anybody know who he was? Who was this fellow? Who? Conqueror? Not a conqueror, no, I don't think so. Maybe he was a conqueror. Who was Christopher Columbus? He was a discoverer. By the way, where was he from? Which country?
Portugal.
Where?
Spain.
Portugal.
Italy.
Look at that. Portugal. He was an Italian, by the way. And his name was Cristoforo Colon, not Christopher Columbus. He was an Italian. But he ended up in Spain because the Italian royalty would not give him any money for his trip. Spain was willing to give him money. But here's the story about Christopher Columbus. After he convinced King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella of Spain to give him money to buy 3 ships, the Santa Maria, the Pinta and the Nina, right? And went off on his voyage in 1492 from the port of, anybody knows? Nobody knows. You guys don't know your history. Anyway, and he came to where did he land first? What is now called? It is now called Haiti and Hispaniola, an island divided in 2, right? And there he thought he found India. But that's what he called, but he was in the West and he called it the West Indies. India in the West. So he came and he made his discoveries. Of course, he had some challenges before he left. Everybody told him that he's crazy because the earth is flat and he's going to fall off the edge. And of course, he came back to Spain, and of course he's received with grand pomp and pageantry. He's the greatest discoverer since the beginning of time. The Queen and King had a great banquet for him, and Christopher Columbus was there, and all these other admirals are saying, I could have done that. That was nothing. I could have done. Everybody was. So he said, gentlemen, please. At the table where they were standing, there was a bowl of eggs, raw eggs. And he says, I dare all of you to take one of these eggs and I want you to stand it on one end. You know the shape of an egg? I want you to stand it on one end. They all tried. Every possible way they did. The egg cannot stand. It was just falling off. And they said, come on, it's impossible. He says, that's what you said the last time. He said, let me show you. He took one of the eggs and he tapped it very slightly, and placed it down and it stood on its end. He said, gentlemen, now that I've shown you the way, you always say it's easy and I can do it. But before, it was impossible to do. Sometimes what seems impossible requires not cracking an egg, but cracking our head. Opening up our head to the realities of what is around us. And the reality will dawn so clear. You'll ask yourself, why didn't I think of this before? You know why? Because I was thinking about how the other person's stupid, how they're wrong, how they don't know what they're doing. I'm so tied up with that, I am not thinking of what I can do to make it better. I leave you with this thought. Sri Krishnaya Vasudevaya Govindaya Namo Namah. And our bhajan will be concluded next week. Let me take this opportunity to welcome each and every one of you here today. We are very proud of all of you being here. I've had some feedback from the people who are viewing the video, and one of the comments they made is, Panditji, I see you on the picture all the time, and I see about 6 people in front. I don't see the rest of the people. So I've asked the cameraman to at least show that you're all here. Clap so that everybody can see you all are here, right? And remember, you're all on video, camera all over the world, so you must be smiling and relaxed. If you have your hands like this, and somebody is seeing you in India, they said that those people look like they're hungry, they're tired and worn out. Or Panditji must be boring them. Look alive, look relaxed, and enjoy. We want to thank Vikalp Gupta and family for sponsoring PT Boats today. Let's give them a big hand, please. Who's here for the first time? Any newcomers? Kaun pehle baar aaye hai? Anybody? Any newcomers? 1, 2. Let's give them a big hand, please. We welcome you to Sri Ram Mandir, and we invite you to come and join us 7 days a week, 15 hours a day. This mandir is open. There's all kinds of program. We are launching something new soon. Jaideep will be helping me with this, and Neil, whereby during the week you can come to the mandir if you have time, and within a certain hour you can sit in the mandir, and today's service will be presented on the overhead projection. The full pravachan will be presented in live sound, audio and video, and then you can come and sit down. So if you're home and you're bored and you